I like being an IT developer. You're probably going to want to know what an IT developer is before I go into that. So, an IT developer is a developer who develops things for inter-organizational purposes. So, you develop software and then you maintain it throughout its lifespan. You enhance it and fix the defects. And you make new software as people need new things. So, one bad thing about being a traditional software developer is that you are constantly working too hard. You're working 9, 10, 11, 12-hour days, and you're not really getting paid anymore. On top of that, you may worry about losing your job once the project you're on ends, especially if you're working in a technology that, you know, may not be useful for the next project. So it can be kind of a short-term gig, and a lot of people want more security, job security in their life. You know, everybody has a different background, but a lot of our parents, if they were people that worked in professional areas, they were able to get a job at a company and work there their entire life, get good benefits, and kind of just keep doing that. Now, I understand that's not really the millennial way, that nowadays it's not uncommon, even where I am, in IT development, that somebody works for a company for 2 to 3, 4, maybe 5 years and then leaves to get another one. There are a lot of reasons behind that, and that's a topic for another video. But IT development does give more of that stability and work-life balance. When you are an IT developer, you are kind of more like an engineer for a company who is keeping things going long term. And this is important because when you finish your project, you don't become less valuable, you become more valuable because now the company is using that technology and they're going to need to keep you around in order to maintain it and keep building upon it. So, why is it different? Well, companies that are having you develop specific technologies to sell, they they're going to obviously need to support that, right? But they may not need near as many developers to support it as they had to build it. So it's not uncommon for companies to just lay people off when the product has been developed and been put out there. And there's also the chance that what if the product fails? Well, in IT development, that's not really an issue because the product has to work. It's what the company's going to use, it's what they spent money to build, and it's what they're going to use for better or for worse. Now, how does IT development differ from normal development? Well, in a lot of ways. When you are a normal developer, generally you're going to focus on one technology and you are going to build and build and build and build and build until the project ends. And if you're lucky, you'll get put on another project where either you'll use the same technologies or you'll learn different technologies. Where an IT developer, you will then continue to maintain that product while expanding upon it using the same technologies generally. But in a lot of cases, you're not just using that technology. You're going to have to deal with what's called integrations. So you build something, it works well, but there's other technologies within that organization that are also, working and doing other things. So you're going to eventually most likely have to integrate those things. And as you build it up, you're going to have to do things that involve networking and servers and possibly a connection to the internet and any type of thing. I know right now where I work, we're trying to get Alexa to work with our technologies that we've built. So it's basically anything that you can imagine, and that's one thing that's really, really cool about it. So another thing that's different is that you probably won't be working in a completely open environment or just a basic programming language and nothing more, building upon, maybe only your own company's code base. In an IT development environment, you will use something like a COTS, which is basically something that another company provides to you and gives you that code base and environment to work in. The reason for this is because companies doing IT work don't have the money to spend to develop a lot of basic things. So what I work in is called ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a development platform that makes automating IT processes easy, and it comes with a lot of things. Basic IT things like incidents or problems already have something built out for them. Now, there's two problems with this. First, the way that our organization handles, incidents and problems is not the same as the way that, they made it out of the box. So we will have to modify what they've done in order to meet our needs. The second problem is it doesn't actually do that much. And there's going to be a lot of things, sometimes way off the wall, things that the company wants that the technology can do and we can make it do, that we will have to almost completely develop using the tools they've given us to develop it. So in ServiceNow, you make custom applications, which basically means you create tables, you write your own code, and you make an actual application using the things that ServiceNow has given you. What does it still do? Well, it has APIs where you can make things like fields on forms very quickly. You don't actually have to write that yourself from the ground up because that is very time consuming. Another thing it happens to do is it handles the database kind of, where a lot of the back end hardware based database work is kind of obscured from you and you are still dealing with the database, but it's been simplified, which to me, I'm not a huge database guy, so that's just fine. It basically gives me APIs in my code that I can use to call data out of the database and then do whatever I want to do. So that works well for me. I understand that, some people won't like that because a lot of people just like working at the ground level. I mean, this is one of those things where, of course, other companies, even normal development, they're going to do this too, where they will be implementing a product and they will choose to integrate another company's application into it versus developing their own, thing. One thing I can think of is like a company like DocuSign. I've never worked with it, but I've heard of it, where somebody will develop a very good technology and then another company will partner with them and kind of integrate that into, their platform before they sell it to the public. So in IT development, it's very similar, where we look for already developed applications and try to bring them in and then integrate them versus developing them from the ground up. One thing I think that goes for development in general is there's no reason to reinvent the wheel, and it's probably cheaper to pay somebody else to give you what they've done than to do it all yourself from the ground up. And this especially applies when it comes to legal things, things that require verification, things that have to live up to standards like government standards. So there's definitely a value in pulling in things versus writing them yourself. Not to say you're not going to be writing things yourself, because you will, but you got to choose your battles, because in an IT development environment, you will have a smaller team and you will not have enough resources to do really crazy things. And I know that's true in normal development too, but it's more true in IT development. So this brings me to the final thing about being an IT developer, which I think is different, and I actually really do like this. And that's that when you're an IT developer, you are one of the people running the ship. For anybody who is a fan of Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, this is kind of the thing for you, because the stuff you develop is being used by the entire organization to do whatever it is that they do. If you believe in what they're doing, then you actually get to be part of that process, which is really cool. You're developing applications that are going to be used by different people in the organization to actually accomplish what they want to do, and you're responsible for it. You're not just selling it to them and charging them a fee. So something that comes with this is that you'll have to get to know the organization that people, and people that work with it, which to some people, that might not sound so great, but to me, it's pretty great, because you'll eventually become known as that person who makes things that solves problems that we need, or the person that fixes the things that already solve the problems that, we have to solve. And that's pretty good place to be. You're kind of a name on that list. People know you. If you work there for a long time, they'll know you very well. Now, over that period of time, you may not be working with the same technologies. You'll be working with different things, but it's kind of cool to know that you're part of it, a long-term thing, and it's something that I really like. So I hope that this video helped, and put your comments down below. Like and subscribe, push the bell, and have a good night.